We have some great new features regarding linked models when working in the dRofus Revit plugin. So previously, if I was working in a trade model that didn't have rooms or spaces within the model, we would have to bring over the rooms as rooms or spaces from the architectural link via the linked models button to bring over your linked model rooms to rooms or linked model rooms to spaces. That is no longer a required action, as we can access the room link to see the dRofus properties and also complete some item validation once we've accessed that linked room. So if I tab into my cafe and I can see this linked room, I'm able to see the dRofus properties in my dRofus panel, seeing that I have a link between this architectural linked room and my dRofus room for 101 Cafe. With this room selected, I can then further do some validation by going to my Items and Room tool, and I can see for my native placed mechanical Revit families that we are mostly aligned between our duct fittings, but we have one additional heat recovery unit modeled, but only one planned in dRofus. So I'm still able to update dRofus or update model depending on if I actually need both heat recovery units or just need the one in dRofus. Furthermore, I can use my linked model filter to say if I want to look for instances within the architectural link as well as my native mechanical model. So if I select to include those instances and then make sure I turn on my correct item responsibility filters, so I'll just select all of them, we are still able to see the mechanical Revit families down below, but now we're also seeing all the architectural Revit families coming from the link as they compare to what we're planning for in dRofus. So this is a little bit more of an easier way that we can use in conjunction with our ability to filter out categories and item responsibilities, and also use the model filter to say what instances I want to complete validation for at that given moment. Additionally, we now have the ability to see model count within the dRofus desktop without the need to open up the Revit model. So within my cafe that we were just looking at in the Revit model, I can see all my occurrences in my Items and Room panel. And what I can do is if I look at my 20 chairs here, I can see I've planned for 20 of them, but I'm also getting a model count of 20 chairs showing we're on the same page between dRofus and Revit. That model count is a calculated attribute coming from the IFC GUIDs. So what it's doing is doing some logic on the length of the string of the IFC GUIDs coming from Revit. And there's also a delta parameter showing if there's a difference between the planned and modeled quantities. And for my heat recovery unit, I know we're not on the same page because I've planned for 1 and I've modeled 2, so we have a delta of -1. So easily I can see for an enhanced level of validation that I don't have to open up the Revit model every time I want to check the difference between my planned and model counts.